At Youngham's Sportron. We knew about Cruz. We knew about the NJ New York bomber. We knew about the husband and wife in San Bernardino. We knew about the Boston bombers. And we still don't know what the hell happened in Las Vegas. We also knew dossier was fake. We knew Flynn was framed. What is going on? In yet another explicit case of discrimination against the native people of England, an Englishman has been denied a job interview for a job based and advertised in England because he is British. At Thabit with Ari. Gun deregulation under Trump.
Country, especially when we're going to school. It's something that we really need to take a look at. The fact that this is the 18th school shooting, and this is only February, is a testament to where this country has come and how far we need to dig out of this hole. We need to step out of it and take a look back and realize there's something seriously wrong here. And some of our policymakers and some people need to look in the mirror and take some action, because ideas are great, but without action, ideas stay ideas and children die.
You are
Russia investigation. I want to bring in CNN's Sarah Murray with this exclusive new CNN reporting. Sarah, tell our viewers what you're learning.
Well, Wolf, what we have been learning is that former Trump campaign advisor Rick Gates is finalizing a plea deal with special counsel Robert Mueller. He appears poised to cooperate with Mueller's investigation.
Last fall, a Mississippi bail bondsman and frequent YouTube blogger noticed an alarming comment left on one of his videos. I am going to be a professor.
Our hearts are with you.
At Proud Sister. Children are not safe at schools. Students are not safe at colleges. Moviegoers are not safe at movies. Music fans are not safe at concerts. Churchgoers are not safe at churches. Americans are not safe because the GOP cares more about honor than our safety. Gun reform no. At Real Daily Wire, at Ben Shapiro debunks false school shooting statistics in 2 minutes full video.
But that's not true. Okay, twice, so they counted these as gun incidents on campus. Twice, someone shot themselves on a school ground. One incident on January 3rd featured a man shooting himself in a former school's parking lot. On January 10th, a teen killed himself in an Arizona elementary school bathroom. Okay, that is not a school shooting, that is a school suicide.
At Eric Wilson. Remember when the newsman was going down the Mueller investigation? Christian and Tyler Toro were arrested for possession of bomb-making materials, police sources said. On Thursday, one day after the tragic shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, intolerant and hateful leftists sat up. At Sam Bova. Attention Americans, are we going to treat the Florida shooting like we did the Las Vegas shooting, the Orlando shooting, the Sandy Hook shooting, letting it pass us by, or are we going to finally decide that the killing of children is no longer bearable in our society? At Roman Mill, at Sharon replying, at Democratology, at Roman Mill exply. Children from two-parent households are more likely to excel in and finish high school. Children who finish high school have a chance to go to university and get a high-paying job. At Jack Snow Nose. Claim one guns don't kill people. People kill people one. The common denominator in every mass shooting is the gun tool. Guns do kill people efficiently, requiring minimal physical exertion to take dozens of lives. 3. Guns have no practical use, other than as an instrument of death. At Fox News, at Tucker Carlson for the left. Voters who can't be controlled can't be trusted.
We don't know, but it's possible. Does the social atomization of modern society play a role in all this? Well, spending life online does cause alienation. We know that. Last week, we interviewed author Johan Hari, who has studied the dramatic rise of depression in this country. As he pointed out, the most common answer to the question, how many close friends do you have, is now 0. The lack of meaningful relationships does cause despair. Perhaps in rare cases, it drives some to mass murder. Meanwhile, the nuclear family has collapsed nationwide. Does a generation of boys growing up without fathers pose a threat to this country? Of course it does. Why wouldn't it? Fatherlessness is one feature common to many mass shooters. Nobody's surprised by that. And what about men more broadly? As a group, men are not thriving in this country right now. Ignore the propaganda, and there's a lot of it, and instead look at the numbers. Men kill themselves more, graduate less, and of course commit pretty much 100% of mass shootings. It's a disaster, which for some reason our elites persist in ignoring. In March, this show will begin a month-long series every Wednesday on what is happening to men. We hope it'll be interesting. But why haven't we been talking about this for years? Now, we're not saying any of these factors caused the massacre we saw yesterday. We don't know that. We are saying we ought to do our honest best as a nation to figure out what exactly is going on here. But we're not doing that. That vital conversation has been drowned out and made impossible by mindless screeching about gun control, led by blustery charlatans in the media, you know exactly who they are, and also in Congress, whose only real agenda is moral preening. They aren't trying to solve the problem. Their aims are darker than that. Press a little bit and you'll see it. Sensible gun reforms, you hear that phrase a lot. You heard it all day today on cable news. What exactly does that mean, sensible gun reforms? Banning bump stocks? No. A piece on Vox.com today calls for a landmark gun control bill like the one Australia passed 22 years ago in 1996. That's the law liberals are always telling you about.
17 people is
but the
terrorism.
Australian law wasn't gun control, and it wasn't a voluntary buyback, no matter what they tell you. It was
At
gun
Thomas
confiscation,
1774
a wholesale.
Payne. Paul Ryan blames John McCain for tanking Obamacare appeal. House Speaker Paul Ryan RE blamed John McCain of Arizona on Fox Business on Tuesday for tanking Obamacare appeal. Ryan told Fox Business anchor Maria Bartiromo, Republicans passed the biggest. Royal Scots Dragoon Guards amazing grace scenes at Bonnie, Scotland. At Marcus. No, that was fake news. The mainstream media got fed from a troll and ran with the story without even checking with law enforcement.
As a kid. This generation is being raised by social media and smartphones, and they're not spending enough time part of the family dynamic. And the kind of content, we see it. I mean, if you go on social media, whether it's just the hatred from people's views and so forth, we see this anger and this hatred that's occurring, that's getting into people's minds. That takes somebody who's mentally ill, like the shooter. Okay, imagine him absorbing hours and hours a day of video content, which is what I would presume he did, and I think we're going to see that. I really believe that. And imagine what that's doing to his mind. All right? Our actions as human beings are a reflection of what's spinning around upstairs in our minds. So we got to get back to the basics of families. Parents need to sit down with their kids every night, get back to the dinner table, and have what the president said today, deep, meaningful interactions with one another. Well, here's what I think, Tucker, right? So the society we live in is not the society I lived in growing up as a kid. This generation is being raised by social media and smartphones, and they're not spending enough time part of the family dynamic. And the kind of content, we see it. I mean, if you go on social media, whether it's just the hatred from people's views and so forth, we see this anger and this hatred that's occurring, that's getting into people's minds. That takes somebody who's mentally ill, like the shooter. Okay, imagine him absorbing hours and hours a day of video content, which is what I would presume he did, and I think we're going to see that. I really believe that. And imagine what that's doing to his mind. All right. Our actions as human beings are a reflection of what's spinning around upstairs in our minds. So we got to get back to the basics of families. Parents need to sit down with their kids every night, get back to the dinner table, and have what the president said today, deep, meaningful interactions with one another.
At Derek Wilson. In this dream, 10th time I want you to enjoy something. Something delicious. Something happy. Steve Bannon, who served as President Trump's chief strategist, was interviewed by the special counsel over multiple days this week. NBC News. Attorney AT. All I know for sure is that kids are being raised to not value life, and that everyone owes them something for nothing. You can have all the laws you want, but until that changes, everything remains the same. God is great, there is good, people are crazy. Thursday thought. Do the math, not the hype.
Authority except that which God has established. Our culture now, they're on this mantra that the authorities are the problem. They say, well, y'all are the problem because y'all stopped me, and I'm sitting there and none of us are messing up. We all real good. We just, y'all targeting us. Y'all, all these things they come up with.
If you don't want to be afraid of the authority, do what is right. Then we are God's servants to specifically to do you good. And it's what every police officer, we would rather do you good. But if you do what is wrong, be afraid, because he who bears the sword does not bear the sword in vain.
That's right.
At Sam Whiteout. Boy band flow.
was driving down Crenshaw. I ended up at the trap house. People were twerking. I was not happy. It was not a deep house party. It was nothing deep about it.
Hey son, I wanted to talk to you. I know religion's important and all, but I think you might be taking it a...
Polls told to denounce anti-Polish compatriots following Holocaust Law News DW 15.2018. Germany considering free public transportation to take on air pollution. News DW 13.2018. Zimbabwe opposition leader and Mugabe rival Morgan Tsvangirai dies of cancer at 65. France 24. Police raids in Milton Keynes rescue modern slavery victims. News DW 14.2018. Brazil to declare emergency in response to Venezuela migrant influx. News DW 16.2018. South African lawmakers elect Cyril Ramaphosa as president. France 24.
Warning.
HomePod review only. Apple devotees need apply wired. Trump news. President speaks about Florida school shooting. Tillerson meets Erdogan to ease Turkey tensions. France 24.
Warning.
Snapchat redesign petition to scrap update hits 1 million votes. Congress news. Senate blocks DACA immigration plans. Islamic State sympathizers go on trial in Berlin. News DW 15.2018. Economists rip Trump as spending spree as foolhardy and unsound. Political news, international and of politics, Sky News. Germany's new gov, there are fears that years of fiscal discipline could be ending. Hedge fund Bridgewater makes $22 billion bet against European firms. In Homs, Assad accused of using military for urban planning Syria deeply. Yahoo Mail, free email with 1000 GB of storage. Yahoo Finance, business finance, stock market, quote, news. How de-escalation zones in Syria became a war management strategy. Syria deeply. Florida student brands Trump a piece of his for reaction to school shooting.
If a delicious matcha tea donut is made and no one is there to taste it, is it delicious? If a photographer captures the perfect moment and no one ever sees it, was it perfect? If a small business opens and no one ever
Israeli archaeologists in Earth Roman Air Mosaic News DWO8 2.2018.
Make your business stand out with a beautiful website. Make it Squarespace. Start your free trial today and use offer code SoundCloud to save 10%.
Life under siege: how people struggle to survive in eastern Syria deeply. Tillerson meets Turkey as Erdogan for open talks after weeks of strain. Feds to repeal 298 tax regulations. Alex Jones InfoHours. There is a warrant for your mind. Why Syria and the US clashed for control east of the Euphrates. Syria deeply. Matt Bai, national political columnist for Yahoo. US condemns Russia for cyber attack, showing split instance on Putin. The New York Times. I'll keep looking. This is an interesting perspective. Study. Altered processed hash foods like chicken nuggets linked to cancer. Wait. You need to hear this. Consuming more highly processed foods proportionately increases the risk of cancer, a study has suggested. A team of researchers, led by a team based at Université Sorbonne in Paris, France, examined the medical records and eating habits of over 100,000 adults and registered their typical intake of 3,300 different food items. The kinds of ultra-processed foods associated with the increased risk of a disease included cakes, chicken nuggets, mass-produced bread, fizzy drinks, confectionery and processed meat. Generally, these foods contain long lists of additives, flavorings and preservatives, as well as high levels of sugar, fat and salt. The results: published Wednesday in the British Medical Journal, showed that a 10% increase in the amount of ultra-processed foods in a person's diet was linked to a 12% increase in cancers of some kind. The study has prompted health experts to urge caution at its findings, while also stressing a healthy and balanced diet is best. U.S. condemns Russia for cyber attack, showing split instance on Putin. The New York Times. Just take a minute and look at this. Washington. The United States on Thursday joined Britain in formally blaming Russia for a huge cyber attack last June that was aimed at Ukraine but crippled computers worldwide. A highly public naming and shaming exercise that could further fray relations with Moscow. The White House threatened unspecified international consequences for the attack, which it said was part of the Kremlin's ongoing effort to destabilize Ukraine and demonstrates ever more clearly Russia's involvement in the ongoing conflict. The statement, issued by the press secretary, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, said the attack, known by the name NotPetya, was reckless and indiscriminate and spread rapidly, causing billions of dollars in damage across Europe, Asia and the Americas. NotPetya, which had the characteristics of a ransomware attack, had been widely identified by cybersecurity experts as coming from Russia, so the attribution was no surprise. But the decision of the United States and Britain to nearly simultaneously condemn the Russian military is noteworthy. It underscores the dichotomy between the administration's consistently tough stance toward Russia on issues involving Ukraine and President Trump's continued reluctance to criticize President Vladimir Putin over anything else.